Welcome, College Hoops fans, to the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. We're glad to have you along for what's sure to be another outstanding season of college hoops action. I'm Greg Gumbel, and with me at the anchor desk, my partner, Clark Kellogg. We're ready to give you a look ahead to all the ups and downs of the upcoming season, so let's get the ball rolling with the best teams in the nation in the very first Top 25 poll of the season. Here are the Big Five, the top teams in the country as we begin the season. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights come in as the #1 ranked team, followed by Indiana, Cincinnati, Stanford, and Mississippi State. What do you think of the top 5 teams going into the year, Clark?
Sometimes the top players in the nation and the best teams in the nation aren't necessarily together at the top of the poll. But going into this season, we have some of the absolute best players playing on the marquee teams. That's really exciting to me, Greg.
The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are projected as the favorites here in the early going. They wrapped up their season last year with a trip to the Sweet 16, but it ended there.
A similar result this year probably won't satisfy them. They've got the potential to go a step beyond the Sweet 16. So just getting back there is going to be a disappointment, not an achievement.
Indiana is in the #2 spot. They've got a whole crew of high school Mr. Basketballs on this team.
A team is usually happy to land one Mr. Basketball. But with the number they have, this could be a golden era of basketball success at this university. There's nothing but good times ahead.
Cincinnati comes in as #3. They carry over 3 starters from last year, so there shouldn't be too much of a learning curve for this team.
Yeah, they've got the core of that team coming back, and that's going to be huge for them. There won't be much of the feeling out process that so many other teams will have to work through early in the season.
Stanford starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. They're going to have to find someone to fill the void left by their departed leading scorer, Clark.
The important thing for them is not to thrust someone into that role just for the sake of it. It will be a much smoother transition if the players are allowed to ease into their new spot.
Mississippi State is the #5 team. They are a very strong team, but they have plenty of competition from within their own league.
That'll work to their advantage, Greg, because they'll have been through so many battles by the time March rolls around. Tournament pressure won't bother them at all.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
The upside of these teams far outweighs the downside. Expect at least half of these teams to finish the season in the top 10, and 1 or 2 of them have a chance to be right at the top.
The Minnesota Golden Gophers, the #10 team, have stirred up a lot of talk in the offseason. Their dreams of tournament glory last year were quickly dashed in a first-round loss.
This year they have the potential to do much better than last. Last season they spent a lot of their energy getting to March Madness and were worn out once they got there. I'll bet they handled the journey to the tournament much better this time.
The Arkansas Razorbacks, the #13 team, have also generated a lot of interest. One bit of good news for them, they have last season's leading rebounder coming back for another year.
With that low,
what do you think of this collection?
This is a year, Greg, where I think a few of the teams on this end of the poll really stand out above the others. There are a handful of these teams that are...
The Virginia Cavaliers, the #23 team, probably deserve a closer look. They only have 2 of 5 starters returning from last year, so they'll need to establish some chemistry quickly.
I don't think it'll be a problem for them. The 2 players they do have coming back were glue guys on that squad last year, and they'll hold everything together this season as well.
The Georgetown, as usual, we have a lot of new coaches. The Georgia Tech coach. We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. They're the Syracuse. As for our next first-teamer, next up is a player that's drawing comparisons. Let's move on to a player who... And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The Indiana Hoosiers will probably get used to see... Now let's move on to the second-team All-Americans. Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our Player of the Week in college basketball.
Newton set the bar pretty high for what kind of performance it's going to take to win the Player of the Week award. He started the season with a bang.
It was a magical week for him, Clark, no doubt about it. The fans really got behind him as the points kept piling up, and you could see him feed off their energy. He's a cult hero to those people now, and if he has a few more weeks like this one, he'll be one of the all-time legends at that university. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
Georgia Tech plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
But that's not the only item on the schedule that has NCAA fans buzzing. I'm looking forward to this game just like everybody else. This matchup has the possibility of becoming quite a little rivalry because these teams match up so well against each other, and it's always a heated atmosphere when they're on the court together.
Virginia would be my pick here. They are so strong on the inside that I believe they'll be just too tough to match up with. It would really surprise me if that talent discrepancy on the inside doesn't tell the tale of this game.
Now, let's turn our attention to some of the action of the past week in the NCAA with our games of the week. We had the kind of upset this week that makes college hoops so unpredictable and so exciting. Wofford got by Cincinnati.
No one could have predicted this outcome, Greg. Cincinnati was sitting pretty as a top 5 team, but you've got to have some doubts about them after a loss like this. Njai was absolutely unstoppable. His 31 points led all scorers. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous.
And next up, let's look back on another great contest from the past week. NC State beat Rutgers.
North Carolina State got a huge lift from playing in front of their home fans. The crowd seemed to give them that extra energy boost whenever it was needed. North Carolina State played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. That really took the pressure off the offense and allowed them to dictate the tempo of the game. To me, that was the biggest factor.
That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner, Clark Kellogg. Just ahead on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our Player of the Week in college basketball.
Beck is our choice this week, and he might be winning an even bigger award at the end of the year. There's a lot of talk about him as a Player of the Year candidate.
He gave an absolutely superb performance, Clark. He just got hotter and hotter as the week went on. His opponents threw a number of different looks at him, but he handled it all. I'm not sure there's a legitimate way to stop him right now. And we haven't even begun to talk about his work at the defensive end either. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
The North Carolina Tar Heels like to play a high-paced, up-and-down-the-court kind of game, and that's going to make them a very difficult matchup. They'll drive to the hoop in transition or pull up and splash the three, and I think they'll run all the way to a win.
But that's not the only item on the schedule that has NCAA fans buzzing. We've come to the time of year when the conference pictures are really starting to come into focus, and this game is a crucial grudge match between a pair of the best teams in the ACC.
Duke plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court in the past few days, so let's take a look at our games of the week. We get started with an important conference battle in the Big East. St. John's beat West Virginia.
Both of these teams are jostling for position at this point in the season. We're in that critical part of the year when everybody's trying to get hot before the postseason. Momentum is everything right now. Bates was the hero of this one with a terrific performance. His double-double really gave his team the lift they needed. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous.
And what a game we had as two top 10 teams squared off. Florida got the better of Mississippi State.
This was like a heavyweight fight back and forth, and both sides landed their fair share of big punches. You've got to expect that from a pair of top 10 teams like these, and they did not let us down. Florida did a tremendous job in the rebounding department. It was truly a dominant performance on the glass. They showed great hustle and determination every time a shot went up on either end. That's always an area that can really be an indicator of a team's performance, and the rebounding numbers told the tale in this one.
That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for watching College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Enjoy the exciting week of college hoops action to come. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, joined at the anchor desk by my partner, Clark Kellogg. Next up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll reveal which coaches find themselves on the hot seat as the season winds down, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But first, we give some of the little guys their due respect with our list of the top 10 mid-major teams in college basketball.
Top to bottom, they're certainly not as strong as a list of the top 10 major conference teams, but one or two of them have just as much talent as any of those teams, especially the team in the top spot.
St. Mary's is setting themselves apart from the other mid-majors in more ways than one, but what really impresses me is their imposing strength of schedule. They've adopted the anyone, anywhere scheduling philosophy, and it's transformed them into a very dangerous opponent. Now let's take a look at some of those coaches who, rightly or wrongly, are taking the heat for their team's failure to live up to expectations this season.
That's one of those things that comes with the territory when you're running a college program, Greg.
The St. Mary's coach has had a tough go of it this year. You could argue that he hasn't been around long enough to really build a team to fit his style.
Yeah, it takes time to build momentum in the recruiting game, and he hasn't had very much of it. But that's no excuse any longer. You've got to get it done in a hurry, because it's all about win now in the NCAA. For a lot of coaches, taking a job at a non-power conference school can be a path to much greater success because so much of the credit goes to the coach at this level. Unfortunately, he didn't get those handful of upsets over big schools that could have singled him out, and now he may be on his way out.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court in the past few days, so let's take a look at our games of the week. We had a pair of top 25 teams in an old-fashioned grudge match. Marquette toppled Villanova.
The posters love games like this. It makes their job easy. When you've got two ranked teams like this going up against each other, you can just sit back and see who should go up and who should move down. Marquette played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. That really took the pressure off the offense and allowed them to dictate the tempo of the game. To me, that was the biggest factor.
Also on our list of games of the week is a conference face-off in the ACC. Virginia Tech overpowered Duke.
The Virginia Tech Hokies made the most of their opportunity to move up, and that's going to serve them very well as we get closer to conference tournament time, even if it's just in seeding position. Connor was the hero of this one with a terrific performance. His 18 points led the team. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous.
That's our show, everyone. For all of us here at It is an annual rite of spring, bringing with it excitement and emotion that can be found in no other sporting event, the NCAA tournament. Your wait is finally over, the brackets are ready, and the drama of March Madness is about to begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, and this is the NCAA Championship Basketball Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Joining me at the anchor desk, as always, my partner, Clark Kellogg. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Of the 65 available tournament bids, 31 are automatically given to conference champions. The tournament committee hands out the remaining 34 bids on an at-large basis. An opening round game will take place on Tuesday night to narrow the field to 64 teams. But before we unveil the brackets for this season, here's a look at the final top 25 media poll of the season. The rankings look a little different than they did last week. The Red Storm of St. John's fell all the way from the number 6 spot to number 15.
That's not the direction you want to be going at this time of year, but they're a strong enough team that I believe they can turn it around.
Also, a new team has made the leap into the top 25. The Duke Blue Devils break into the poll as the number 25 team. It's time to talk about the topic that has a lot of players and coaches holding their breath right now, the NCAA tournament bubble. These are the 10 teams that aren't worried as much about where they'll be playing as if they'll be playing. Clark, who jumps out at you there?
Ohio State could have sealed their invitation with a better regular season finish, but the fact is they play in a very tough conference, and that does weigh heavily in their favor.
And we have a few more teams in similar position, right, Clark?
Arizona has been up and down this year, and it's a matter of which part of their schedule the committee wants to look at, the up part or the down part.
I'm sure it's been a long week for those teams, but the wait's almost over. The NCAA selection committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The Indiana Hoosiers are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. They begin the tournament as the dominant team in college basketball. They've been ranked number 1 in the media poll for the past 8 weeks. We'll soon find out if they can live up to their billing. On to the second number 1 seed, who will play in the South Regional. The Florida Gators are seeking their 5th NCAA championship in school history. The Dayton Flyers are our 3rd number 1 seed, and they'll play in the Midwest Regional. They're back in the tournament again, and no doubt they'll be feeding off the experience of last year's appearance as they try to get to the Final Four this year. And finally, our 4th number 1 seed will play in the Phoenix Regional. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are in the tournament field as a number 1 seed for the 3rd time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the number 1 seeds have been assigned. In one national semifinal game, the winner of the East Regional will play the winner of the South Regional. In the other semifinal game, the winner of the Midwest Regional will play the winner of the Phoenix Regional. Those games will be played on Saturday, April 1st. Then it'll be on to the national championship game on Monday night, April the 3rd. Anything shocking to you about those picks?
Not really. We talked all week about these 4 teams being the solid number 1 seed, and I think the selection committee got it right. There isn't a whole lot of controversy with these picks.
So with the number 1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. The Indiana Hoosiers are the top seed, finishing at 28-6. They were conference tournament champions in the Big Ten. They will take on the winner of the opening round play-in game between Elon, with 11 wins, and Illinois State from the Missouri Valley Conference. And now, the number 8 seed, the North Carolina State Wolfpack, come into the tournament 6th in their conference during the regular season and were quarterfinalists in their conference tournament. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the Indians of Louisiana Monroe, who finished 2nd in their conference tournament, finishing at 21-8. Oklahoma State enters the field as the number 4 seed from the Big 12. It's yet another appearance in the brackets for a school that's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the Western Michigan Broncos, finished the season with 20 wins.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys are going to provide serious matchup problems to any team that doesn't have depth and defensive ability at both guard spots. They have outstanding backcourt play at both ends of the court. It's the main reason they've made it this far, and they're going to have to maintain that form if they want to do some damage in this tournament.
Texas Tech comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 24-10. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Sun Belt Conference, the Mean Green of North Texas, with 19 wins. Next up is the number 2 seed. The Marquette Golden Eagles have established themselves as one of the best teams from the Big East. They'll be going up against the number 15 seed, the Lehigh Mountain Hawks, with 17 wins. This will be their 11th appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Our number 7 seed is from the Mountain West Conference. The Horned Frogs of TCU were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the big dance. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Wyoming Cowboys, who were 3rd in their conference, finishing at 18-12. Brigham Young comes in as the number 3 seed, finishing at 23-7. Jackson State comes in to face them at number 14 with 18 wins in the tournament championship of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The St. Joseph's Hawks are in as the number 6 seed. They'll be taking on the number 11 seed, the UCF Golden Knights, with 22 wins. Looking into the future a little bit, this bracket looks poised for a titanic matchup in the regional final. If the top 2 seeds can take care of business in the first 3 rounds, we have the possibility of a classic Elite 8 meeting. Next up, we'll take a look at the South Regional. The Florida Gators are the top seed, finishing at 22-6. They were winners of the regular season championship in the SEC. They'll take on the Titans of Cal State Fullerton, the number 16 ranked team. This is their 3rd appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. St. Mary's comes in as the number 8 seed, finishing at 21-10. North Carolina comes in to face them at number 9 with 18 wins and a chance to make believers out of any doubters they might have. Duke comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 22-10. And they'll take on the 13th seed from the Big Sky, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, with 19 wins. Virginia Tech enters the field as the number 5 seed from the ACC. This marks their 19th appearance all-time in the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 12 seed, the California Golden Bears. Finished the season with 19 wins.
The Virginia Tech Hokies suffered a big upset in their conference tournament, but they've got to leave that behind them. Sometimes getting a loss like that out of the way before the NCAA tournament can actually help you. It can relieve some pressure and help the players get their focus back.
Our number 2 seed is from the Big East. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the big dance. They're going to play the number 15 seed, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 18-13. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have established themselves as one of the best teams from the ACC. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, with 20 wins. This will be their 8th appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. The Kansas Jayhawks are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the Binghamton Bearcats, with 18 wins. And now the number 6 seed, the Wisconsin Badgers, come into the tournament 5th in their conference during the regular season and finish 2nd in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Towson Tigers, who came in 1st in their conference tournament, finishing at 23-9. There are going to be some incredible matchups in the later rounds of this bracket. If the top seeds can avoid the early upsets, we can look forward to some real heavyweight battles. On to our 3rd bracket of the day. Let's take a look at the Midwest Regional. The Dayton Flyers are the top seed, finishing at 25-8. They were winners of the regular season championship in the A-10. They'll take on the Western Illinois Leathernecks, the number 16 ranked team. This is their 3rd appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. Our number 8 seed is from the SEC. The LSU Tigers are on a hot streak, having just won their conference tournament championship. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the Baylor Bears, who were 3rd in their conference, finishing at 18-12. Clemson enters the field as the number 4 seed from the ACC. This marks their 16th appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the Utah Utes. Finished the season with 17 wins.
The Clemson Tigers are a team that is just so powerful and strong up front. I would put their front court up against just about any other teams in the nation right now. It's always good to have strong guard play, but if you ask most coaches, I guarantee you they take the good big man over the good little man most times. Their interior play should serve them very well in this competition.
The Xavier Musketeers are in as the number 5 seed. They'll be taking on the number 12 seed, the Loyola Marymount Lions, with 19 wins. Georgetown comes in as the number 2 seed, finishing at 25-8. Tennessee State comes in to face them at number 15 with 16 wins in the tournament championship of the Ohio Valley Conference. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Illinois Fighting Illini are the regular season champions from the Big Ten. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the Ohio State Buckeyes, with 19 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA tournament. And now the number 3 seed, the West Virginia Mountaineers, come into the tournament as the 4th place team in their conference during the regular season and were losers in their first game at their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 14 seed, the Gardner-Webb Bulldogs, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 18-13. Tulsa comes in as the number 6 seed, finishing at 23-8. And they take on the 11th seed from the WAC, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, with 24 wins. It's the first question every Selection Sunday. Which is the toughest bracket? Well, this bracket looks to me like it wins that prize this year. Not only are the top seeds strong, the lower seeds can be dangerous as well. And finally, let's have a look at the Phoenix Regional. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are the top seed, finishing at 25-6. They finished second in the SEC. They'll take on the McNeese State Cowboys, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their 5th appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. Next up is the number 8 seed. The Villanova Wildcats are the conference tournament champions from the Big East. They'll be going up against the number 9 seed. Richmond comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 22-7. Butler comes in to face them at number 13 with 20 wins in the tournament championship of the Horizon. Air Force comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 22-10. And they will take on the 12th seed from Virginia. Enters the field as the number 2 seed from the ACC. This is their 27th appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 15 seed, the Sacred Heart Pioneers. Finished the season with 17 wins.
The Virginia Cavaliers will be an extremely dangerous team in this tournament, mainly because they have such terrific veteran leadership. Coaches love when they have guys on the floor that have been around the block a few times because they don't get rattled. They play with composure. I look at the experience of this team as something that could put them over the top.
And now the number 7 seed, the Red Storm of St. Our number 6 seed. I think this could wind up being the bracket that brings us this year's Cinderella story. A few of the higher seeds here have had terrific seasons, and I'll be surprised if at least one of them doesn't put together a long run in this tournament. Clark, give us your take on the tournament's top 16 seeds.
There are no real off-the-wall picks that jump out at me. These 16 teams are all pretty deserving. Let's give the committee some props this year. Dayton is the softest of the top seeds. I'm not going to say exactly when they'll go down, but if I had to pick a number 1 team that won't be at the Final Four, it would be them.
Now, let's bring the conference picture into focus. The ACC gets 7 teams. The Big East with 7, 5 out of the Big Ten. The Mountain West gets 5 teams.
You got to take your hat off to the teams in the West Coast Conference. They topped the non-power conferences with the number of bids they got, and it shows you how far this conference has come.
Here's the list of the teams that were on the bubble heading into Selection Sunday. So, partner, which of those invitees should be sending the selection committee a thank you card?
St. Bonaventure is going to sleep a lot better tonight than they did last night, Greg. I wasn't sure they were going to get that invitation, but they snuck in through the back door. Now we'll see if they make the most of it.
While they start prepping for their first-round games, the 5 teams on the other side of the page will be full-time students again.
Rhode Island can look back at their schedule this year if they're looking for a reason they got snubbed. They played very few difficult teams outside their conference, and the strategy backfired on them.
All right, Clark, now that we know all the teams